Welcome to the Growth Lab, where business ambition meets motherhood. I'm Luba, a mom of three, a self-made millionaire, speech-language pathologist, and founder of 2 clinics in sensory play gyms and a mobile therapy bus unit. Join me each week as we dive into what it takes to grow successful business, balance family, and create real impact. I'll share my hard-won insights and bring on inspiring entrepreneurs with stories you won't want to miss. Let's turn dreams into action, build with purpose, and thrive on our own terms. Welcome to the Growth Lab. Let's build, scale, and thrive together. Let's get this party started. This episode is sponsored by Kidology Inc., a nationally recognized pediatric therapy provider. Kidology Inc. delivers comprehensive speech, occupational, physical, and behavior therapy services in a multidisciplinary, multilingual setting. With multiple clinic locations, a mobile therapy bus, sensory play gyms, Kidology ensures access to high-quality, personalized care for children of all abilities. Recognized by the Inc. 5000 and the Philadelphia Inquirer as top workplace and industry leader, Kidology Inc. remains committed to innovation, inclusion, and measurable outcomes. To learn more, visit kidologyinc.com or follow Instagram at Kidology Inc. Welcome back to the Growth Lab podcast, the space where health, entrepreneurship, and motherhood collide in the best possible way. Today, we're thrilled to welcome a phenomenal guest, Dr. Loredana Marzullo-Shapson. Did I get it right?
Yes, you did. You nailed it.
She's a pharmacist turned holistic practitioner on a heartfelt mission, helping patients say goodbye to prescription medicine and hello to vibrant health. After years of personally battling issues like digestive distress, mold illness, chronic infections, and stubborn weight challenges, Dr. Loredana turned her struggle into strength, embracing holistic healing when conventional medicine fell short. She's the founder of LifeMod Solutions, right here in our local Newtown community. Dr. Loredana specializes in gut health, bloating relief, IBS management, and empowering women to reclaim their reproductive and urogenital wellness. She firmly believes and teaches that healing your microbiome doesn't need to be complicated or costly. So today we'll dive deep into the incredible world of the microbiomes, exploring how these tiny powerhouses in our gut, reproductive systems, and even semen play a massive role in our hormonal balance, fertility, mental health, and overall well-being for both adults and children alike. If you're ready to revolutionize your health from the inside out, let's get started and welcome Dr. Loredana. Hi.
Hey, hi. Thank you so much for having me today. I'm really excited to tailor this really to your community. I love the space that you're in. I had such a great
mini chat with you, so I'm super excited to have you on. Welcome to the Growth Lab podcast. I know that you come from a little bit of a different dimension of health and medicine. Why shift into this side? What changed for you?
Yeah, so I worked as a pharmacist and a pharmacy manager. I was in that field for 12 years, and I just saw some really disgusting patterns, is what I like to say. More and more medicine, more and more side effects, and people were younger and younger and younger. And it was why I got into this field, to help people feel better and to beat their health challenges. And I was only seeing more when I was working in that space. So I said, this isn't it. And then, as you read in my bio, there's a lot of stuff that I personally went through that was not being resolved by regular doctors. And I got tired of it. And so with my background as a pharmacist and being able to clinically understand, I started reading papers and studying what's going on with me, what are the root causes. And that's where I birthed my business, where now I help people use holistic approaches, food, supplements, lifestyle changes, going back to what our great grandparents used to do to feel better.
The natural, lay down the natural methods, like the real stuff. Everybody today wants to fix everything with medicine, and you're 100% right. And I feel like that definitely messes up your gut health. And going back to childhood, I remember my mom, who was also very much into healthy methodologies, antibiotic only when really necessary. But anytime I did have one, she would put me on probiotic. And so a lot of people don't do these little things to help themselves along. Instead, they just take more stuff that's like clogging their system. Is that what you were seeing?
Yeah. I mean, kudos to you that your mother was ahead of the game there, being that how long ago that was, because that was not a common practice. I came from a family where My parents had no idea anything medically. They weren't medically trained. So whatever the doctor said was holy grail. Take this
Yeah.
antibiotic. So I was in that wheel of taking antibiotics a lot as a child and just listening what the doctors were saying. But now we know at the time they were doing the best that they could with the information that they had. Now, 10, 15, 20 years later, we're actually seeing the effects of all that antibiotic use. A lot of stuff that we've learned now that we're applying. And so it's not their fault, and it wasn't my parents' fault either. It's nobody's fault. It's that we didn't know, and now we
We
do.
just didn't know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry, pharma industry. We're going to blow you up today.
You're going
So,
down.
what are some of the common signs that people tend to overlook about their microbiome or that it might be out of balance? Like, what are some things that pop up that they should pay attention to?
Yeah, it's a great question. A lot of people will assume that it's so common to have a belly ache or to burp or to belch a lot after a meal or to have cramping or pain and they just dismiss it. Oh, let me just pop these Tums or take this Prilosec and get rid of it. They think it becomes normal to them to have episodes of constipation or diarrhea, and that's not normal. You should be a healthy bowel and a healthy gut means you're pooping every single day. It is formed, it is snake-like, it is comfortable and easy. There's no sense of urgency, there's no waiting time, and so you're supposed to go every day. You shouldn't be burping or belching. I think some normal, if you're having a carbonated beverage or maybe you did eat something, but if it's every meal all the time and very infrequently and disturbing to where you're embarrassed and you're noticing it, that's something to look into. If you're experiencing acid reflux, it's not something that you should be experiencing. There's some people that there's trigger foods for them, like alcohol and citric foods and tomato-based foods and acidic
Spicy,
stuff.
yeah.
Spicy, yeah. That stuff can be normal. However, if it's every day, certain times or certain meals, that's probably an issue. So you want to look at the most obvious things, but there are not so obvious things when it comes to gut issues. So maybe you have allergies, you have rashes or hives, or even some other skin conditions like eczema. That's all related to gut health. Your skin is actually made up of the same cells as your GI tract. And so your skin is an expression of what's
didn't
going
know
on
that.
inside. I have a lot of rosacea in my office, psoriasis, eczema, blisters, and hives. And when we fix the gut, all of those issues resolve or reduce and are much more manageable. So
How do
again,
you-
not so common.
How are you testing people? So say I'm a patient that comes to your office and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm getting patches of eczema. I've been feeling, extra bloated, blah, blah, blah. What's the first thing that you look for?
Yeah. So I do something in my office called muscle testing. And what it is, it's a way to test your nervous system using the strength and the weakness of your muscle. And so everything around us is vibrating and it comes down and it's vibrating that we can measure it down to a unique frequency or even a decimal point number. So we think of that sinus wave that we see in physics. So in my office, I can test which energies are making you weak and making you strong. And based off that information, I can understand, could it be bacteria? Is it a yeast or candida? Is it a parasite or bacteria that's causing this issue? And then I also use your symptoms. Your symptoms are the biggest tell. You know your body best. Now, you'll go to some doctors and some other testing they may run is stool testing and some urine tests and blood tests. Those can be helpful, but they are not the first things that I pull on any of my patients because I'll tell you what, every patient who shows up in my office typically has a stack of lab work and they're saying everything came back normal, but I still feel unwell. What's going on? And so I use my patient's symptoms as a guide in the very beginning of my care. And then if we need to pull testing into later, we will, but it's very rare that I ever pull any lab tests. So I like to save patients money and time and aggravation that way because those tests are expensive and they take anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks to sometimes get the results back. And now you're delaying your care for what? Let's get you feeling better now.
Do you think that when somebody's microbiome is affected, that it shows up on their tongue?
So using your tongue, yes, you can tell if there's issues with the gut. And the one thing that you can do is stick out your tongue. And if you see your teeth imprints in the side of your tongue, it could mean that you have some gut inflammation going on. And the
My
next
tongue
thing
is
we
so
look for,
white.
the next thing we look for is a white coating on the tongue. So if you have a white coating on your tongue or gray coating, it could mean an overgrowth of candida. So that is where we will proceed with different ways to get rid of candida in the body or to lower it in your body.
What would you recommend for someone like myself? Like I've done those cayenne pepper cleanses before where you drink literally this lemonade cayenne pepper, lemon juice, syrup for 10 days. And the more research I do about it, yes, it's amazing for your gut health. You're cleaning your system out. And people stay on for like 30 days starving, drinking that concoction, and their tongue, all the white goes away. Obviously, there's probably better ways to do that. However, I did feel that it cleanses my body. It helped me get better. Like if you have like some illness and people recommend getting on that lemonade juice for a few days because it cleans your gut health, you will cure yourself from whatever you're feeling. So A, what are your thoughts on that cleanse? Number one. Number two, for someone like me who does have like some candida style situation, what would you recommend?
Yeah, so I'll tell you two things that I notice about that cleanse. So one, if people are just drinking that and they're not eating other foods, you're actually in a state of fasting. And
Yes.
so that reduces food supply to the wrong microbes that are in your gut. And then your body does some amazing things when it's fasting, where it starts to clean out the trash. It starts to get rid of cells that are not working or working well. And then it kind of gets rid of all the nonsense. So that's where the candida will come down and the bad microbes go away because you're literally starving them. Now, the lemon juice and the cayenne, so there's two things that they do with gut specifically is the lemon juice does stimulate your gallbladder and your digestive system to release more digestive enzymes. So if you do have some old stagnant food in your GI tract, it will help digest some of that out and eliminate some old stuff. Cayenne stimulates the liver. So now you're helping your liver release toxins and eliminate some trash. And so that's how that will help your GI tract. But I think the benefit of that cleanse is getting rid of the stuff that feeds the wrong microbes. And so do I think people need to do this in order to heal your gut? No, because I don't even use that in my office, to be honest. I think that it's beneficial, but not a requirement. I think that the biggest thing in fixing your gut health is removing the foods that are damaging your gut. And the biggest culprits that we have are gluten and dairy and sugar and anything artificial, so processed foods. And so I know that's the repetitive thing that most people hear, but it is true that when you have gluten, you often have chemicals, you have processed foods, you have other preservatives that may be present, and they're not whole foods. And so you tend to eliminate a lot of bad products when you eliminate gluten from your diet. Now, again, this doesn't mean that you should be switching to gluten-free products because now you're switching one processed food for another. And I think it's important to identify what is a processed food. And a processed food is anything that does not look like its whole food form. So bread is not a whole food. You would need to find the whole kernel of wheat in order to see the whole food. You know, rice is a whole food. It is the whole grain. It's not actually like stripped down. So brown rice is actually the whole grain. So you need to look at the food and say, how close is this to the original product where it came from? Protein shakes or vegan protein drinks. Those are completely processed foods. You're milling down coconut, you're milling down herbs, you're milling down different ingredients in order to make a drink and blending it with water. It's not a whole food. We want to think about shopping around the outside of the grocery store. Again, just focusing on whole foods, fruits and vegetables, your meats, your butter, your cheeses, if you can tolerate dairy. Those are the things where we can start. Get rid of the foods that feed the wrong microbes. Sugar is a huge problem in our American diet. Every processed food has it. So we need to realize that candida love sugar. They love things that turn into sugar very quickly, which would also be things made from flour. But this is different. If you're eating a whole food, like a fruit or say a sweet potato, that's not going to release sugar into your blood the same way that a candy bar would. And so the effects come from fast releasing sugars. So that's what we want to focus on, is getting rid of that.
It's crazy. I feel like I don't know enough about my gut health. I know a little and it's been able to help me, but I definitely think that in the current life that I'm living and as an adult and like as a child, and I mentioned this to you too before, that I did go to a holistic doctor because I had stomach pains all the time. And she put me on a homeopathic regimen and it did help me. And as an adult, I feel like there have been some days where I'm like, oh, you can just tell that your stomach is very upset. Sometimes post drinking, things like that, totally out of whack, gut health. But the more that I take care of myself and try to eat whole foods, I do see such a difference. And I really, and even like some vitamins, like I'll take the charcoal, and I don't exactly know what it does, but I know it helps me feel better. So I love that you're educating people about this because I think that it really does affect the day-to-day of your
Hmm.
well-being and even in
Hmm.
the child. So at Kidology, that's my private practice where I'm a speech language pathologist and the owner, and we do work with the pediatric population and we do have a behavior division. And often when people come in our questionnaires and in building rapport with the family, we want to understand what the child's diet is like. We talk about gluten, we talk about a lot of things because children that have heavy behavior and autism, we try to modify their diet because we do feel that gluten and other things are causing an intolerance and causing their behavior to be even worse. Some children are holding their number two in, and that's a huge issue. Can you speak a little bit about how you could help families in this type of predicament and how gut health directly connects to behavior?
Yeah, let's start with that question first is how does gut health directly impact behavior? And so when we think of our gut health, we need to understand it's also called the second brain. And one way to connect this is if you have ever been nervous about something, or actually, let's reverse that. Say you've had a belly ache or you're nauseous. You know that your brain, all of a sudden, you can't think straight. You can't form a thought. You're starting to develop anxiety, all because your gut is upset. Now, if we flip that and say you're nervous for a situation, maybe you're about to do a podcast like we are today, or you're going on stage, all of a sudden, the thought of being in public, you start to shake, you start to sweat, you start to have diarrhea, you start to get nauseous or a bellyache. Now your mind, your pure thought is causing physical changes to your, especially your GI health. So it's very connected. And so what you eat every day is fuel for your body. And that is signaling information to the body. So if you're constantly eating gluten, gluten causes gut irritation. It is a hard to digest protein that's found in wheat or bread or any floured products. And so if we're causing gut inflammation, now our gut lining becomes leaky. We call this leaky gut. In the science world, we call this intestinal permeability. And what this means is instead, your body is supposed to keep things out that's supposed to be released as poop and then only let in the nutrients. But when you have leaky gut, what ends up happening is now things are getting into your bloodstream that shouldn't, like undigested foods, bacteria, proteins, trash. These things can actually irritate your immune system and they can irritate your brain because now you have all these chemicals floating through your blood. So this directly can relate and show up as irritability, difficulty sleeping, mood issues, different aggressive behaviors can come out after eating certain foods. Talk to any daycare or lunch, anyone who works lunch at a school or a daycare. Kids get crazy after lunch. And if you look at what they're eating sugar, they're eating gluten, they're eating artificial dyes and colorings. And it's the worst time for most teachers. So we need to really connect that what we eat can affect our mood, and we need to look at that right after we eat the meal. You'll see it pretty quickly. So if your child has trouble sleeping, what are they eating at dinner time? And we need to tweak that. Diet is very connected.
They're going to sleep because they're backed up and they're uncomfortable, and then it's like, oh, look, I'm aggressive because I similarly, like, when you have to go to the bathroom, you're releasing all the waste.
Yep.
Like, so if you really put that into an analytical thinking, you're not able to release your like bad behavior, bad energy because it's built up in there and you're just like, oh, you can't, you're not well. Something's bothering you.
Yeah.
Is that kind of what?
Absolutely. If you're constipated, you're holding in trash. The trash is meant to be taken out. And if it's not taken out, what's happening is it sits in the bowels and it causes inflammation all around. Again, now we're perpetuating that leaky gut where things are coming in that shouldn't. And in addition to that, toxins are being recirculated. Instead of getting pooped out, now you're causing more inflammation. When your gut is inflamed, your brain is inflamed. So pooping is a huge issue, especially in children. If it's been more than 2 days since a child has pooped, action needs to be taken. Whether you're doing a glycerin suppository, you're taking a specific form of magnesium. There's other things that we can talk about if you want to go into that point of like, how do we get the poop out now? And then what do we do to make sure that we're pooping every day?
No, families need to be alert because having a balanced diet for adults, you would think and hope people are eating enough leafy greens and like olive oils and things that are going to help you to go naturally. And when you have a child, often children are not eating leafy greens, so you need to find some sort of vegetable. Like say they like cucumbers. We used to talk about that a lot too, just drizzling it with a little bit of olive oil to help the kids go because that's their form of salad. They're not going to be eating spinach. But hey, cucumbers with olive oil, you might go then too, you never know.
Exactly. Any way you can get the vegetables in is the way to do it. Hiding
That's right.
it, pureeing it. I have a daughter. She's under, a little over 1 year old now, and we puree and blend up celery, carrots, apples into her meatballs. She has no idea that
Oh,
they're in
that's
there. So you need
brilliant.
to find ways to hide the food so that they will eat it if they're not going to willingly do it
Oh, I
on their
love that.
own.
That is so
Yeah.
smart. Parents, you hear that? If you are having trouble getting those veggies in, puree them into your recipes. That's
Yeah,
genius. I love that.
exactly.
This episode is sponsored by Kidology Inc., a nationally recognized pediatric therapy provider. Kidology Inc. delivers comprehensive speech, occupational, physical, and behavior therapy services in a multidisciplinary, multilingual setting. With multiple clinic locations, a mobile therapy bus, sensory play gyms, Kidology ensures access to high quality, personalized care for children of all abilities. Recognized by the Inc. 5000 and the Philadelphia Inquirer as top workplace and industry leader, Kidology Inc. remains committed to innovation, inclusion, and measurable outcomes. To learn more, visit kidologyinc.com or follow Instagram at Kidology Inc. Can you
Yeah.
share some other effective yet simple ways that parents can support their child's microbiome health? Like that recipe idea. What else you got?
Yeah, so here's the thing. The one thing we want to be doing to support repairing and healing the gut is introducing broth. And there's a big craze. Bone broth, bone broth. Everybody should be drinking
Okay.
bone broth. But I'm going to challenge everybody who's listening that if you're looking to heal your gut, and especially for children who have behavioral issues or even are on the spectrum, you want to focus on something called meat broth. Have you heard of meat broth before?
No, what do you mean?
Okay. All right. So meat
Like
broth.
chicken
So
soup?
pretty much, but it's a broth that's cooked under 2 hours. Bone broth uses different parts of the animal and it's cooked for up to 24 hours. So, because you're using different parts of the animal and the time length of cooking, it changes what is in the broth. And we find that bone broth can actually be stimulating, it can be irritating to the brain. There's something in there called
Oh,
glutamate. You can look it up. So for children with behavioral issues, I don't recommend bone broth. I actually recommend meat broth, which is just your standard broth. You can find
okay.
recipes online, but this was popularized by the GAPS diet. So if you can start incorporating meat broth into your child's diet, and you can do this very easily. You can make it at home. You can buy store-bought broth, just chicken broth, any animal broth, turkey broth, beef. What you could do is, if they have sippy cups, depending on how old, maybe you'll just start putting a teaspoon of broth in with their water or whatever they're drinking. You can mix it into purees. If they like applesauce, you're putting a teaspoon or two in the applesauce, or maybe their mashed potatoes, or anything that you're mashing for them. You can even freeze it and make a freeze pop of broth and mix it with a fruit puree. Blend up any fruit that you want, put it in the broth, make a popsicle. Especially this time, it's summertime. You're going to really enjoy that refreshing drink. You can also do a smoothie if your kids like smoothies. I know sometimes kids have texture issues. So, if they prefer pureed foods or smoothies, you could certainly, instead of using water, you would use broth instead. And the vegetables and the fruit that you mix in there will mask any flavor of it. If you're
Is
cooking
that
vegetables
enough
for
to
your
just have a
children,
little bit of the broth like that? A couple spoonfuls? Because you
yeah,
said just a few spoons.
yeah, a few spoons to start, because it could actually put you into something called a healing reaction, meaning that you start to throw off toxins so quickly that you might feel unwell for a little bit. So we like to start low and slow with any food, any new products. So that's step number one. Start low and slow, start with a teaspoon, but eventually, if they can be drinking a couple ounces in a day, that's going to be very helpful. So those are some easy ways to bring broth into the diet. And then another thing I want to talk about is probiotic foods. So one of the causes of constipation is having an imbalanced microbiome. So you have the wrong gut bacteria. So now we want to bring in the good guys. And we can do that with our foods. So if your child can tolerate dairy, then you would choose yogurt. You would choose kefir, which you can find at most grocery stores now. Kefir is just a more liquid form of yogurt, but it has good probiotics in it. So once a day, give them a little bit of that. Recommend that you buy plain, because the fruit versions And the flavored versions tend to be extremely high in sugar. So I'd rather you buy the plain version and at home you throw in your own whole fresh fruit for your child to enjoy. Some berries, anything like that. Cut up some grapes, put up some bananas in there, slice up some apples. You can sweeten it yourself and control the amount of sugar. Plus, you're also getting it from a whole fruit, which is way better than just sugar. So thinking about finding a way to bring yogurt or kefir in, which is a dairy product. Now, if they don't like dairy or you're avoiding dairy because for some kids, dairy can cause constipation. So if you're avoiding dairy, then you want to think about sauerkraut. Are you a sauerkraut fan? Do you ever eat it?
So literally, well, because I had stomach issues growing up, I would eat like the brat diet and all, but I always would eat sauerkraut like with some meat or on a salad because I was taught that that has really, really good things for your gut. And when I came off of the cayenne pepper cleanse, my uncle taught me to eat pickled cabbage, which is essentially like sauerkraut, just and so I any cabbage related, kraut related product is apparently so good for your gut, and people I
Yes.
think just don't realize.
Yeah. So for your kids, you can do the same thing. Now they may or may not eat the sauerkraut, and that's okay. Give them the juice. So you can give them a teaspoon of juice. You can mix it in with their water. You can mix it into
Does pickle
vegetables.
juice have the same effect?
Yeah. The pickle juice is a little different. So pickle juice is good for gut because it does help digestion, but you want more of the probiotics. So there's not a lot of probiotics found or living things found in
And
pickles.
that as in the sauerkraut juice. Oh my
Yeah. So do
gosh.
sauerkraut juice.
You
Super
know what's
easy.
crazy? Like I'm reliving some childhood stuff because I had to follow these methods. Like I would have been your client. Like this is what I did.
That's amazing.
Wild.
And that's why your belly doesn't have any problems anymore. You grew out of this stuff because you applied these things. And you need to keep doing it. Life is always working against us. So this is not, I'm going to do this until my gut's fixed. I'm going to do this forever. I'm going to do this for as long as I live because there's a lot of things working against our gut health.
These are such invaluable tips, and I hope people take them into consideration because it really does change your life when your gut isn't bothering you.
Yeah,
Let's talk a little
exactly.
bit about the reproductive microbiome. So, a term that everyone understands or knows. So, why is this microbiome crucial for fertility and pregnancy outcomes and even the health of the future generations?
Yeah, so here's what we know. When we started studying the vaginal microbiome, right? So this is for women down there. We look at the environment. And when there are problems down there, say fishy odor or any odor at all, discharge, pain, discomfort, all of that is letting us know that there is an imbalance down there and there's increased inflammation. The same thing that happens to your GI tract happens down there for women. It starts to become inflamed. The membrane starts to become damaged and break down. And guess what? If you're trying to grow a baby, we want that environment to be calm and happy, low inflammation, and have the right bacteria and microbes down there. So if you have active issues down there, this is something that's extremely important. When we study patients who are going through fertility treatments like IVF, we now know that the microbiome down there is the number one predictor if the IVF cycle implantation will be successful. So this is huge. When you think of how expensive IVF treatments are, families are spending about $15,000 for one cycle. Spend the $200 to $250 to get your microbiome tested down there, women, and you will save yourself a lot of trouble because you can correct this. You could correct issues down there within a week or two of taking probiotics and using supplements to correct the environment. So super important for any woman who wants to get pregnant. Now,
That
do you see
I'm
this?
shocked that people aren't making people with such a cost associated. Why is it that now, before you go to surgery, they test you for like XYZ thing. How's your blood? How are your organs? But this, they don't test you. They don't make you do this. This is
No,
crazy.
the medical community is not caught up to the latest science. This is all new information within the past 4 to 5 years. It takes the medical community about 15 years to catch up to any new recommendation. So that's why you need to go find people like us out there who are holistic and
Yeah.
keeping up with the new latest research that's coming out.
Where can someone get a test like that for their vaginal microbiome health?
Yeah. It's called a vaginal microbiome test. There's a lot of
Oh, that's
companies
what
that
it's
do
called.
it online. Yeah, patients can come to me. You can check out my information in the show notes, but you can order a test through me, and it's about $215 for that test. And then there's another company out there called EVVY. They're a little bit more expensive, but they also will do at-home testing that you just literally take a swab, send it off, and in about 4 to 5 weeks, you'll get results back. And so if you're working with a practitioner like myself, we can take your test and then start getting you fixed up right away. If you go through EV, you have to wait for your results to come back in 4 to 5 weeks, and then they'll give you recommendations and a care plan. So it delays things. And for women, I've been through these issues personally. It's embarrassing. It prevents intimacy with your partner. Like, we don't want to be dealing with that. We want to fix that right now. So we can make changes very quickly.
So if you have the gut health issue, does it mean you automatically have the vaginal microbiome issue? Are they interrelated, or are they two completely separate
No,
things?
a great question. I'm happy you asked that. They are very connected. And it's because location.
Yeah.
Where your stool comes out, it's so close to where the vagina is. And so there is translocation of bacteria. It's normal and it's natural. We've actually been able to show that the vagina has about 32% overlap with what's in your gut. Your urogenital tract, which is where you urinate from, where the pee comes out, right? That matches up to 62%. So we can see that even if you fix your gut health, you will fix your vaginal microbiome. And it actually could indicate that if you do have problems down there, that maybe your gut health isn't right. Think about the symptoms that you experience day to day. And if you've got some gut stuff going on, that could be the reason why you also have stuff down there happening. So if you fix one, you'll fix the other. So I think that the ultimate goal is to fix gut health at the end of the day, because that will keep the vaginal health, strong and stable over time.
Wow. I mean, this is very, very important information, and literally no one talks about this or teaches people. So I'm so happy to connect with you, and hopefully people can, no, seriously though, like
Yeah.
people just like go on about their merry way, like their bellies are hurting, they're stinky, I don't know. Nobody's
Yeah.
telling
Oh,
me
it's so true. And I didn't know it either. I didn't realize it until I started fixing people's gut health. And then all of a sudden their
Yeah.
UTIs stopped happening. Their discharge went away. Their itchiness
amazing.
went away. And I was like, there's something here. And here I am today. This is where I am helping women fix all these issues.
So how about the health of the biome in terms of comparing men and women? What is like the most concerning in terms of the fertility and reproductive health? How does the male portion play into that?
Yeah, that's a really great question. And so, the men and women do have different microbiomes, and their sperm has their own microbiome. Now, unfortunately, there's no way to test on a level that we have access to as people. It's available in clinical research where you can test the sperm microbiome, but not for the regular lay public. So, but we do know that sperm are affected by their DNA as well. So, how strong is the sperm, the motility of the sperm? So, the way that the male takes care of themselves, are they exercising? How are they eating? Are they sleeping? All of that affects the DNA expression of the sperm and the strength of the sperm. And so that plays into fertility as well. We now know men are just as important to test in this fertility journey as women. So please, if you are a male, go get your stuff tested, because this makes a difference. And very important point. Sperm live for about 90 days. So when a male ejaculates, that sperm could have been in there for several months. And so what you've done 3 months ago could impact the quality of your sperm as it's being coming out now. So men need to pre-plan for pregnancy just like women and take care of themselves in advance.
I really hope that the people out there, the young people that are looking to conceive, just because you think I'm going to party today and whatever, start to think ahead if you're planning for a family. That's amazing advice, because people are living for the now. And that's a perfect example of, hey, you should probably do a cleanse or do something to prepare for your upcoming plans of having a child. It's not only the wife, guys. It's not only the
that's
girl's
right, guys.
responsibility.
You take responsibility too.
So you advocate against excessive lab testing and obviously medication, heavy pharma. What are the top holistic strategies that people can easily implement right away to improve their gut and reproductive health?
Great question. Easiest thing to do is control what you can. Some people get overwhelmed with all the decisions out there. And the one thing we can control is what we're putting into our mouth every single day. And so start with eating in your home more. It does take meal planning and food prepping and avoiding those foods that we talked about and being prepared. And this is where ChatGPT comes in, and especially for busy moms out there, you can put into ChatGPT I have this many kids, this is their ages, this is how many meals I need to make, this is the
It's
foods we won't
amazing.
eat. It'll build you a meal plan. It'll tell you, take this food out, we don't eat that. It will adjust. Create me a shopping list from this meal plan you just gave me. Split this up in 2 days a week that I want to be cooking. So you can truly customize and make this
What did
easy
we
for
do
you.
without ChatGPT?
That's what I'm always thinking. I use it every day.
So that is so incredible. And I think that, and you know what, I have been encountering people saying, well, I don't know how to use it. Guys, you
Yeah.
literally get ChatGPT app or whatever, Google, Gemini, and you talk in there. Hi, like
Yeah.
Dr. Loredana said, I'm a mom of three. I want to make a gluten-free meal option. I want to make chicken cutlets today. And it will give you a list. It's pretty amazing if you're super busy entrepreneur, business owner like one of us with a family. You need it. It is
Yes.
helpful and it will save you so much time and like the
Yeah.
thinking. You
Yeah.
just do what it says. And you're like, thank you, ChatGPT.
Yeah.
You're
Making
saving.
it easy.
What about
No,
like
so meal planning.
vitamins?
Yeah, I think a good quality, everyone should be taking a good quality multivitamin. Here's like my basic thing that everybody should be taking. And here's why. First, let's start why we should be taking these things. Disease happens when we are missing something. We are either missing a nutrient or we have too much of something else. And so the bigger problem though is missing something. So by taking a well-rounded multivitamin, it is super important. I like to use products that are made from whole food or really trusted brands that are clean and they don't have any gluten or dairy, because you can find supplements that have artificial colors and sweeteners and crap in it. So please read your supplement ingredients just as much. I don't recommend buying supplements off Amazon because there is a ton of counterfeit items. They're coming from other countries. They're trying to mimic the label, but you can see there's always a mismatch. The print is just a little bit off. And so we don't know what's in
That
there.
is a crazy thing to look out
It's
for. And you know
scary.
what? Because of the fast-paced lifestyle that we live, and I order so much on Amazon, I really do. But people, this has come to my attention now as well, and I'm trying to minimize that or pay
Yeah.
closer attention to what they're sending because you just don't know.
Yeah, you really don't. I found counterfeit makeup on there. I got tricked out on one of my makeup brands. A clothing brand that I really like to buy from was a
Oh my
fake on
gosh, on
Amazon.
Amazon? That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. So just be careful buying anything on Amazon. But here's your supplements that everyone should be looking for. They should be a multivitamin, well-rounded from a trusted company. I really like companies like Thorne Research, Douglas Laboratories, Integrative Therapeutics, Biotics Research. I'll put a link in the show notes for you guys to get to my full script account. That is a trusted supplement distributor that only licensed medical professionals can use, like doctors and pharmacists and naturopaths. And so it is all clean, quality tested supplement brand. So you know what you're paying for is what you're getting. So that's number one. There's a couple brands to work from. Is take a high quality multivitamin. Everybody should be taking vitamin D for sure. Everybody should be taking magnesium and everybody should be taking an omega-3. Those are like my top four that will cover most bases. And because of the space that I'm in, I think everybody should be taking a probiotic because everything is working against our gut microbiome. So taking a probiotic pill, specifically a spore-based probiotic. I love the one called Megaspore Biotic. It's by Microbiome Labs. Fantastic. It is a missing piece in all my patients' gut health protocols when they come to me. And then again, eating foods that have probiotics as well, like the lactobacillus and bifidobacterium is the other strains that are super important for gut health.
You don't realize how much nutrients or how many nutrients are out there that really could benefit you. So I feel like in the checklist of your life, really, and I know a lot of it's like, oh, well, I do checklists at work and I have to get these projects done, but you have to utilize yourself too for your well-being. Like, what do I need to get by? What doctor do I need to see? Do an audit of yourself and see
Yeah.
how you're feeling and what you could do to help yourself and visit somebody like Dr. Loredana because it's people are not realizing they're struggling silently, but there is help and there are vitamins they could be taking to enhance their lifestyle, their well-being. And I just wish
Yeah.
that more people spoke about this.
And something to think about too, people who run their own businesses are entrepreneurs, are mothers, still working full time, running many different things in their life. You need to be running optimally, and that means taking care of yourself. So if you think you're crushing things now, imagine if you could eliminate your bloating, if you got rid of your digestive issues or issues down there, how much more efficient you could think and breathe and live and be happy if you handled those issues too. So to take your health into consideration.
Absolutely. So since you own your own business, LifeMod Solutions, what is the ultimate vision and how do you see holistic, microbiome care evolving in the next several years?
Yeah, great question. So I think the vision for what I want to do is make gut health easy. When I was going through my gut health journey and I was learning how to change it with diet and all of that, it takes up to 2 to 3 years just using diet alone. And then we can fast track it using supplements. And that's what I figured out. So I want to figure out a way to get you to live the life that you want to live, make the substitutions where you can, but also have a happy gut, have a happy brain, and live and do everything that you want to do. So making gut health easy for people and approachable. The next thing is like what's changing in gut microbiome health. I think that there's going to be advances. There's going to be probiotics for everything, probiotics for your skin, probiotic products for your hair. We're learning that every single part of our body has its own microbiome and everything talks to each other. And so we're seeing that we're going to have amazing products that are going to come to us, so much so that now what we're shifting into with our probiotics is we know that good bacteria helps our health, but what we know more is that what they release within us is actually more beneficial. So now you're going to see supplements that are actually called metabolomics or metabolites that these bacteria release. They're making supplements that just contain their beneficial products. And so you don't even have to take the bacteria anymore. And now you can just take the good stuff that they're making. And so that's kind of where we're shifting into is we're trying to understand all the different things that they secrete that help us and I'm trying to put those in pills now. So that's kind of the future of the microbiome is kind of fast tracking.
There's so much ahead and there's so much to learn. What is the best way, other than going to ChatGPT and booking an appointment with you, but what's the best way for someone who's really interested? Like, where do you start with all of this?
Yeah, in terms of, I would say get educated. So reading a lot of people in the gut health space. I mean, I love Dr. William Davis, Dr. Stephen Gundry is coming out with a gut book. Those are big popular names in gut health right now. And then there's a lot of other functional medicine big people out there, like Dr. Berg touches on gut health, and there's a whole slew of people. So staying up to date, making sure the videos are recent, making sure that they're actually citing the most recent data. Another big doctor that I like is Dr. Michael Ruscio. He's a chiropractor who has a gut health clinic. So there's a lot of people that you can study from. And so it becomes getting educated. So use YouTube, use your podcast, look at gut health, gut microbiome, and make sure everything's up to date. And again, you can schedule a visit with me and I like to fast track everything for you and just kind of, some people just want, what do I do instead of why do I have to do it? So we can tailor the program to you. So that's the first place to start is get educated.
Awesome. And if somebody wanted to make an appointment or reach out to you for a consult or look at you online, where could they find you?
Yeah, so everything for me is at LifeMod Solutions. There's an S at the end there. And so my Instagram, I have a YouTube, I have a Facebook, LinkedIn, and even a TikTok. And that's also my website, lifemodsolutions.com. And I have some classes available online that you can take. So check me out. I'll give you, anyone who mentions this podcast, I'll give you 50% off my initial consultation.
Guys, sign up. This is amazing. Be a better you for a greater tomorrow for your own well-being. As somebody who grew up with a lot of different gut issues, stomach issues, nerve-related stomach issues too, you're doing amazing work. I appreciate so much you coming on the podcast today. And I really look forward to working with you more and meeting you in person. And thank you so, so much for being part of the Growth Lab podcast, because what you're doing is helping people grow also, and you're a really big part of the better tomorrow. So thanks for everything, and thanks for joining us.
Yes, awesome. Thanks for doing what you do and sharing this information with the world. Catch everyone later.
Thanks for tuning in today. Give us a big like, comment, reach out to Dr. Loredana, and if you want to learn more, give us both a like on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. We're everywhere. Thanks for tuning in to the Growth Lab podcast, and see you next time. This episode is sponsored by Kidology Inc., a nationally recognized pediatric therapy provider. Kidology Inc. delivers comprehensive speech, occupational, physical, and behavior therapy services in a multidisciplinary, multilingual setting. With multiple clinic locations, a mobile therapy bus, sensory play gyms, Kidology ensures access to high-quality, personalized care for children of all abilities. Recognized by the Inc. 5000 and the Philadelphia Inquirer as top workplace, An industry leader, Kidology Inc. remains committed to innovation, inclusion, and measurable outcomes. To learn more, visit kidologyinc.com or follow Instagram at Kidology Inc.